Great. I think at this point, I went to take a leak during practice. I didn't end up on the report, but I feel great. Be ready to roll.
Right, fair enough. By the way, I reported, I've just checked all my sources. Christian McCaffrey has not taken a leak yet today, so it is not on the report. But when he does, yes, it will be on the report, and we will get you that breaking news. He's right. But by the way, when you miss as many games as you have over the last 2 years, Christian McCaffrey, yes, that's what happens. That comes with the price of stardom. That comes with the price of fame.
Yes.
I can't take a piss around here at NBC without 3 other people sending emails. But you know what? That's part of the gig. Please, are you kidding me? I have 800 affiliates to talk to after this show. You have no idea. Look,
bad start to segment 2.
Every segment's a bad start. They're going to cancel us any minute now. Get us back on the rails here, Connor.
Yeah, McCaffrey, full participant. It was an ankle injury on the Panthers injury report. I think they're managing his workload throughout the week at this point. All signs a go for a big week 3.
Yeah,
how's that? You good? You're back on track? Let's go.
Not bad.
Yeah.
By the way, the only thing you missed was these are our Rotoworld headlines. Check them out, of course, at rotoworld.com. By the way, brand new free Rotoworld app, which is great. You should check that out. Download that now. That's how you do it.
Oh, you are a company man.
I'm a company man. I'm a company man. Yeah. When I pee, it's at NBC urinals.
Yeah. NBC Universal Urinals.
NBC Universal Urinals.
Yeah.
Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's tough.
All right, Christian McCaffrey.
Yes,
There's a little bit of belief in the betting market on the Panthers this week. Lines tick down from +3 at home to the Saints, now +2.5 across the key number. I'm not feeling great about the Panthers.
You're not
general.
believing that.
Yeah, I don't want any part of them.
There's nothing I've seen from the Panthers offensively that makes you think they're going to be able to move the ball successfully against New Orleans. And there's nothing I've seen defensively from the Panthers that makes me feel like they've got an answer, especially because, by the way, Alvin Kamara has been practicing this week. The expectation is that Kamara will be good to go for the Saints on Sunday. I think you're still rolling out McCaffrey. I think you're still rolling out DJ Moore, and I think that's it. That you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm down on DJ Moore. We talked about him yesterday on the Love-Hate show. I'm outside my top 20, but chances are you probably don't have a better option than DJ Moore. I'm lowering expectations for him. I think I'm at wide receiver 24 at the moment. So, whatever. High-end wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2 this week. He will see some Marshawn Lattimore, not a ton, because they'll move him around a decent amount. But other than that, on the Panthers, you're just sort of like, all right, let's.
You're staying off the Robbie Anderson roller coaster?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a chance he sees more Lattimore than DJ Moore does. And so, yeah, with Robbie Anderson, you're basically hoping for one big play. And there are a lot of guys out there that you can say that for, and I think there are better bets for a guy to get one big play than Robbie Anderson against the Saints if you're playing in that pool.
The only thing I'll say about McCaffrey is that he does look completely healthy. He just looks like Christian McCaffrey. When he recovered that fumble in week 1 and took it 30 yards, he just looks like Christian McCaffrey. So I think there is upside once the Panthers, hopefully, their passing game gets a little bit more on track and they become less of a disaster, that he could live up to the hype of what he was preseason.
He had 100 yards rushing against the Giants after a slow start. I mean, he didn't get into the end zone, but his game was fine last week.
Yep.
Like, you are breathing a sigh of relief if you have Christian McCaffrey on your team. You are not breathing a sigh of relief, however, if you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, because he ain't got anyone to throw to, Connor.
Packers wide receiver injuries are a mess. Let's get through them here. Allen Lazard dealing with an ankle. Sammy Watkins dealing with a hamstring. That's how you know we're getting close to the end of September. Sammy Watkins is on the injury report.
With a hamstring injury.
Yeah, so it's always a hamstring.
It's always a hammy.
Christian
Soft
Watson.
tissue Sammy.
Soft tissue Sammy, no doubt.
Christian Watson dealing with a hamstring. Randall Cobb, illness. They all did not practice Thursday. What do we do with this group at this point?
I think you ignore them. Is what I think we do. Lazard, the only guy that I would think about starting would be Lazard, and I don't want Lazard. I mean, again, Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean have played really nice corner for the Buccaneers. It's a really good defense as well. So far this season, the Buccaneers, despite the lack of success that the Buccaneers have had offensively, the fact is that through 2 games, they're a top 8 pass defense. Tampa Bay is. This game, the over-under on this is one of the lowest on the slate. We don't expect a lot of fireworks. As we've talked about, as Jay and I talked about earlier this week, we think this is a running back game, right? We think it's a lot of A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones on the Packers side of the ball. We think it's a lot of Leonard Fournette. And maybe you see some Rashad White on the Tampa Bay side of the ball here. And so when you're running the ball, it's obviously it's more time possession. It's less offensive series for each team. It's less scoring. I mean, The over, I might even take the under on this game. I mean, despite being how low it is, I still think it might be an under.
So let me ask you that. It's set at 42, like you said. Both sides are dealing with problems, including suspension here. It's not just injuries. What is your expectations for the offensive output in this game, knowing all that?
Yeah, not much.
Right?
Not much at all. And I think it's mainly because, to me, the Tampa defense is maybe the best in football at the moment. We talked about yesterday. They're obviously this vaunted rushing defense that no one can run on. Right now, they're a better pass defense than rushing defense. They've got the best pass defense in the league. So, not expecting too much out of this game. This Green Bay offense, even against Chicago, didn't look fantastic. The two guys with upside clearly in the pass game for Green Bay are Watson and Dobbs, just because we haven't seen them. Connor, is there a guy that you like for the rest of the season most out of those two?
I still think it's Dobbs right now. I think he obviously had the biggest rapport over summer, and I think when you look at him, he's somebody that can stay on the field. Christian Watson is really raw coming out of the FCS. Yes, you like that he was drafted in the second round. I don't think it's happening this year, so I look at Dobbs. Matthew, let me close the book on the Packers, asking you a more difficult one. Aaron Rodgers, say you are rostering him, you drafted him, with significant capital. Are you thinking streaming options some weeks with the fear of Rodgers just not having a big output at this point?
I am thinking streaming options in some weeks, and that week is this week.
Yeah. I mean, better week than now?
Give me Jared Goff over Aaron Rodgers this week. I know that sounds insane. And 3 weeks ago we'd be like, "Are you crazy?" But given the injuries, given this matchup, given the fact that the Buccaneers have allowed one passing touchdown this entire year, you think about 2020. That was the last time Rodgers faced the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. 160 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, under 4 fantasy points. There's nothing that we've seen through the first 2 games from the Packers passing offense that gives you confidence that Rodgers will go into Tampa Bay and put up big numbers, other than the fact that he's Aaron freaking Rodgers and he's one of the greatest of all time. But beyond just, legacy, like there's nothing. They're beat up. None of the receivers have sort of impressed so far. They are beat up, and it's a great defense in Tampa Bay. So I'm merely as a mid-tier quarterback too, and I would if Jared Goff or somebody like there is out there, look at my ranks on Rotoworld.com. They're free. Yes, I am thinking about streaming somebody other than Aaron Rodgers this week.
Yep. Carson Wentz over Aaron Rodgers. Your boy.
Stop with my boy.
He's your boy.
He plays quarterback for my team. There's a difference.
Thus becoming
he's not actually
boy.
my boy.
He's your boy now.
Right. You are a guy on my pod. You're not my boy. You are a guy on my podcast.
I don't play quarterback for your team.
Yes, I would prefer Carson Wentz. If you go by my ranks, because as ugly as I think it'll be, I think there'll be some junk time for Carson Wentz that I don't think will be there for Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
I think Washington will have to throw against Philadelphia. I don't think the Packers are going to have to throw. I don't think they're going to be down big to Tampa Bay. You know what I mean? I think this is going to be a grinded out one-score game between those two games. I mean, I think the Eagles just kill Washington, and so much like he did against Detroit last week, I think Wentz is going to have to throw quite a bit to get them back into that. So I think there's some junk time for Wentz. Yes, give me Carson Wentz over Aaron Rodgers. Give me Jared Goff over Aaron Rodgers.
I think rest of the season.
I can't believe I just said that.
Not on that. I think guys like Tua, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, rest of season outlook, I would have them all over Aaron Rodgers. And they all went behind him preseason draft, but I think certainly with Tua, just because of the scope for yards there with Tyreek and Waddle and how much of a passing game offense that's become. I'm
not ready to go there yet because I still believe in 12 and it's small sample size, but I understand the conversation. Like I'm not ready to say yes, definitely, but I understand that conversation.
All right, moving along to the Buffalo Bills, it was the Stephon Diggs show Monday, undoubtedly, between him and Josh Allen. But Gabe Davis, coming off the ankle injury, is 100% confident he will return for Sunday's game versus the Dolphins. One, how do you think that impacts Diggs' insane production coming off Monday? And are you ready to fire up Gabe Davis again in this offense?
Gabe Davis is a must start until further notice. As we talked about off of that game Monday night, right? Obviously, you're always starting Josh Allen, you're always starting Stephon Diggs. And the only other person I think you're always starting is Gabriel Davis. His last 3 games that he's played, including the 2 playoff games, he's got 6 touchdowns. Now, 4 of them obviously came in one game, but this is somebody who saw 98% of the offensive snaps against the Rams in week number 1. He caught 4 of his 5 targets. He scored against the Rams as well. He's a touchdown machine. When they get in close, Josh Allen often looks for Gabe Davis, who was top 5 in end zone targets last year, despite not playing a lot of snaps. Yes, all in on Gabriel Davis, having his top 15 play this week against Miami, a game in which I think the Bills will need to score to keep up with the high-flying Dolphins.
Indeed.
Let's take a look at the receiving yards props for Bills Dolphins.
Sure.
Obviously loaded with receiving talent in this game. Jay, what do you like on this board?
Well, it's maybe a little bit of a recreational bet and an easy one to make. But give me the over on Stephon Diggs, only 79.5. Obviously, he's gone well over that in the first 2 games of the season, topping 122. You see the other guys that BetMGM are offering: Tyreek Hill, 73.5; Jalen Waddle, 63.5. and Gabe Davis at 54.5. But Diggs is the one to me where I don't know what happened to him last season, but he just wasn't getting the huge yardage totals. Only topped 90 yards twice all of last season in the regular season. 2020, though, he did it 10 times. He's done it twice already. I think he's just back to being a top 5 receiver.
By the way, it's real interesting, those odds, thanks to our friends over at BetMGM. Micah Hyde has already been ruled out for that Bills secondary. So, you don't always want to bet the over, but just feels like until further notice with Diggs, Hill, Waddle, you're betting the over. You're absolutely betting the.
This is one thing with the betting market. When there are huge changes, which I think there is in the Miami offense, the betting market is always slower to react because they need a bigger sample to treat something as real. But if you think the Miami offense is just explosive and real, then you'll get value on those overs until the market adjusts.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to buy into Mike McDaniel right now. That's the most consistent part of that Miami offense. All right, moving to an offense that unfortunately has...
by the way, last night on the Amazon Prime game, Richard Sherman said about Mike McDaniel, says, he don't just look like Harry Potter. He's a real wizard.
Oh, boy.
Right, which I thought was the greatest line ever. I love Richard Sherman as an analyst. I'm just going to say that right now. He's great, right? He don't just look like Harry Potter. He's a real wizard. He can draw it up, I think is the exact quote from Richard Sherman last week. Hey, real quickly, Fantasy Life app, great on the alerts. Just got an alert here. Jeff Zreback, who covers the team for The Athletic, does a great job. Rashad Bateman not practicing in this one, and he's been downgraded to questionable. So that's a little concerning as well. Maybe could be an Isaiah Likely game. We know obviously Mark Andrews as well. Devin Duvernay.
Mr. Touchdowns.
I mean, right? They are playing the New England Patriots. They are in New England. So just interesting that. Just heads up, by the way, if you have Rashad Bateman, that you may not have him this week. Obviously, we'll get into all the latest with him Sunday morning, Fantasy Football pregame, 11 a.m. to 1 o'clock Eastern on Peacock.
All right, let's talk about Michael Pittman, who's been dealing with a quad injury. He practiced on Thursday. Good sign for a Colts offense that's been shut out 6 of the 8 quarters they've played in, and that doesn't count the overtime period that they were shut out in as well. Pittman's a huge addition if he can make it back to this passing attack.
If he's out there, you're starting him. It's that simple. I believe he will be. I'm as a top 10 fantasy wide receiver this week. I have actually at wide receiver 6 so far at my current rank. Dating back to last season, he's seen 7 or more targets in each of his last 7 games. He's getting over 10 yards a target in those games. They're going to have to throw to keep up with Kansas City. Yeah, all in on Michael Pittman. I don't care if he's questionable or doesn't. If he's active, you're starting him.
Yep, a lot of weird movement in the line in that game at BetMGM. It opened before the season. It was Kansas City -3 at Indianapolis. After the disasters that the Colts have served up, on Monday it was out to -7 Kansas City, but with the Pittman news, back down to 5.5. Those are massive swings, particularly from preseason to go from 3 to 7. So I think it's corrected itself, and I wouldn't write off the Colts entirely.
I was just gonna say, I would have rathered it at 7.
Yes.
The Colts getting 7, but it feels like I don't know that the Colts win this game, but they're 0-2. They're at home. Their backs are against the wall. I don't think they're going to be an easy out for Kansas City.
No, and Matt Ryan as well. Yes, he's looked terrible, but he's a context guy. If you give him a good context, the offensive line plays better, and he gets Pittman back, then he has the tools to look competent at least. So, I wouldn't be putting a nail in the coffin of the Colts season just yet.
Yep. Looking at the Chiefs side of things, obviously firing up Kelsey. We know that. Even Juju. Is there anyone else in this passing offense, though, that you even consider at this point now?
I want to just highlight Juju Smith-Schuster. We talked about him a little bit yesterday in the Love-Hate show. He did make the others receiving votes in my Love-Hate this week. Remember, through 2 games, opponents have caught 88% of their targets in the slot against Indianapolis. Think about what Christian Kirk, who plays the slot, did last week against these Colts for the Jaguars. 8 targets in the first half in week 1. Right, yeah, I mean, in week 1, he had 8 targets in the first half, right? Didn't do anything in week 2, whatever. Still ran a route on over 80% of pass plays. Again, I think people are going to overact too much that week 2 dud against the Chargers in a weird game in which it was a short week and they're playing a division rival. The Chiefs mix it around. I do think the middle of the field is an area to attack against the Colts. Give me Juju Smith-Schuster as a love this week.
Yep, I'm with that. I think the Chargers defense is going to make a lot of receivers look bad this season. That's a top 5 defense in the NFL right now. Expect easier matchup against the Colts. Those guys should get right.
By the way, last one here. This another Fantasy Life app alert. Jenna Lane from ESPN tweeting out that Todd Bowles says Julio Jones will be a game-time decision. Donovan Smith didn't practice today, but Bowles says it wasn't a setback. They just want to give him some rest. So looks like they will have Donovan Smith back on the offensive line, so that's great news for Brady. Julio, game-time decision. By the way, he should change his legal name to Julio Game-Time Decision Jones.
If you roster Julio Jones, that's the game that you signed up for.
That's what you signed up for.
All right.
A rich man, Sammy Watkins.
Oh, God. All right, we're going to take a break. When we get back, Rotoworld rankings, who Matthew's higher on, lower on for the weekend.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, okay? Respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.